On Life and Meaning is brought to you by Blumenthal Performing Arts, celebrating its 25th year presenting the best in the performing arts, sharing and employing the arts as a major catalyst to strengthen education, building community cohesiveness, and advancing economic growth. Further support is provided by Charlotte Mecklenburg Library, one of America's leading urban public libraries, delivering exceptional services and programs with a mission to improve lives and build a stronger community. And by the Arts and Science Council, Charlotte Mecklenburg's resource hub and lead advocate for the regional cultural community, providing culture for all.
And then the veil closed like a curtain, and she was gone. And then the tears all came from all of us. But I looked a little stunned, and I wasn't quite sure what had happened. And I don't know that I still do. But I do know that after that, I left. And in the coming days, in the coming months, I for sure knew that there was something so much bigger, and we were so involved with something so big and that so small at the same time, that I think that kind of really launched that whole seeking and knowing that we're big and small all at the same time. We're important and not important all at the same time, but ultimately the core of everything needs to be love.
Fabi Preslar helps people share their stories. She is president of Spark Publications, a custom publishing firm that specializes in designing magazines, books, and other print and digital publications. She is also publisher of B2B Tribe magazine for engaged and diverse entrepreneurs and small business owners. Fabi has received several awards for her work, including the 2017 Charlotte Women's Business Owner of the Year Award, recognition as one of the Charlotte region's 50 most influential women, an Entrepreneur of the Year Award, the Enterprising Woman of the Year Award, and the Greater Women's Council Trailblazer Award. In this episode, we explore custom publishing, leaps of faith, a shared death experience, and business as a creative and spiritual act. I'm Mark Paris, and this is On Life and Meaning. Fabi, welcome.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me, Mark.
It's great to have you, Fabi.
Thanks.
You are the president of Spark Publications.
Yes.
What is Spark Publications?
Spark Publications is a creative firm specializing in the design and production of custom publications, which means magazines, catalogs, custom books, and we also have a digital division where we do interactive work.
You've answered that question before, haven't you?
I have. Was that less than 30 seconds? Because I worked really hard on that.
I feel like we're on an elevator right now.
There you go. Going up.
What are examples of what you have published?
Well, if you're in the Charlotte market, you would see Ballantine Magazine, Pride Magazine. Nationally and internationally, we have a Loss Prevention Magazine. We have several large associations that we produce their custom magazines for. Everything from monthly to bi-monthly, quarterly, and now we've even got some really cool new annual publications that we're working on. And then we also have our custom book division.
What do you publish in your custom book division?
We publish for business owners, professionals that have a message that could help other people achieve something of great value. So it's all mission and purpose based from a business standpoint or from a nonprofit standpoint, but all of our books have something that they're trying to help somebody do.
There are many stages to having a magazine or a book.
Yes, there are.
In hand, from ideation,
Yes.
writing, editing, design, production, marketing.
Mm-hmm.
What stages are Spark Publications involved in?
We can get involved all the way from the beginning of the ideation stage, all the way to the final production stage, before printing, before distribution. We don't do sales and we don't do distribution. everything in between that wedge, it's really depending on the needs of the client. So the majority of the work we do is taking clients' editorial and designing it and then managing the printing.
What is that process like? I come to you with an idea. I want a book published. Take me through what happens.
It's a little different for books and then the catalogs and magazines. The book part, we work very closely with the client at the very beginning. So there's a strategy session. So it's all very much goal-based. Taking those goals and making sure that the cover is designed in order to attract the correct audience, making sure that the inside of the book is designed so that the audience can properly use it. So functionality is a big issue with the work that we do for our clients. The magazine side is very much like an outsourced creative department and partner for our corporate and association clients as well as independent clients. So the majority of what we do, the core of what we do is creative design. And then we have these great add-ons that we have from editing, from being able to do the consulting, and then in the back end, managing the printing, making sure that the right printer is being used. So it's a great big wedge, and it really depends on what the client needs are.
If I came to you with the idea of a book entitled How to Produce a Podcast called On Life and Meaning.
That's exactly the kind of things we do, because you're getting ready to help other people, other either business owners or individuals that want to know how to do a podcast. So your knowledge has a very specific mission and purpose, and that's our sweet spot for us to be able to take that information, design and package it, help you make sure that it's speaking to the right audience and being of extreme value and beautifully designed.
How long would that process take?
It depends on the client and where they come in on the process. I mean, we have a production schedule where we can turn everything around in less than 2 months, but we find that most clients don't necessarily adhere to that because of different needs or additional things and services that they need.
What is a range of fees?
A range of fees, our entry point for our fees is typically around $5,000 or $6,000. And sometimes we can actually complete everything within that. It just depends on the actual things that the clients need. I'll tell you that, but we've also done books for $4,500 and we've done a book for $90,000. So, when you're looking at large coffee table books that require a great deal of photography and it just really depends. So they're all big, beautiful, purposeful books. And the little ones are very purposeful too.
Who are typical clients?
Entrepreneurs are our largest clients for the custom books. And then we also have corporate professionals that are launching their next stage of their career, whether they're building their speaking platform. The same thing with entrepreneurs. Are they building a speaking platform? Are they really trying to use this book as a tool or as a marketing piece in order to get in front of their audience? The magazines, it's associations, national associations and trades. Enthusiast magazines. We have done some really peculiarly cool magazines that who knew? There is literally a magazine and an association for anything you can think of. And that keeps it very creative.
Fabi, you've heard the term vanity press.
Ugh, yes.
Is Spark Publications a vanity press?
We are not. I don't even like the word.
Why don't you like the word?
I don't like the word because what we do is so purposeful. We do understand that there's a place for vanity press, and that is so cool. If someone, I don't want to judge the category, but I will state again very simply that the books that we do have a mission and a purpose, and we don't see it as vanity. It's very much created for a specific audience.
Does the work that you do suggest that the work isn't otherwise good enough to be published by an independent publishing house with an editorial staff that would pay for the work?
My philosophy on that is your idea not good enough to be a large corporation versus an entrepreneur or a small business owner? So it's a very, very different way of looking at publishing. There's corporate publishing, which is your traditional publishing, and then there's entrepreneurial publishing, which is what we do. So it's not that it's not good enough. It's just that someone wants full ownership knows their audience, knows how to reach it, and doesn't need somebody to own their work for them. Am I getting too passionate about that?
Fabi, let me run another phrase by you. Self-publishing. Is what you do just another form of self-publishing?
It is a form of self-publishing, but it is professionally guided publishing so that every step that is needed actually has a professional team behind it. So you as the author, the business owner to launch this book, can do it in a self-publishing way, but we call it custom publishing because we're actually working with a group of professionals that know how to take you through every single step and can do so in a way that, we're winning national awards, independent publishing awards for our clients alongside other large publishing firms.
Fabi, what guides what you will publish and what you will not publish?
We don't publish works that try to knock down any personal group or any group of people. So anything that's not very humanitarian or that is in a negative way towards any group. What we really focus on is the goodness of the work that can be done for other people and the quality of the work that's going to come in. So we don't take on everybody that comes through for a client. And I have had people pay us, a full deposit and after a strategy session realize we are not going to be a fit and reimburse them their money.
Has the internet and personal publishing software helped or hurt your business?
It has helped the business in getting more manuscripts out there. As soon as personal computers came, it changed our business because anyone that could sit at a laptop or sit at a keyboard can do graphic design. They can put together something. And that is great for self-expression. But when you're looking to do something for a specific professional audience, then it needs to be done at a very different level. So it has changed it. It's had us become even stronger and better and more professional at what we do so that we continue to stand out from those that don't have the skills that my whole team has.
People can create a PDF of a document and it can be uploaded and downloaded digitally. What do you see as the future of print publishing?
I think the future of print publishing is here to stay for quite a while. And I get that question all the time. And when you go to a grocery store and you're looking at the magazines that are up on the point of purchase displays, all of a sudden people that have TV shows, have blogs, have ministries, all of a sudden they're producing magazines. And the question to ask why is because it still reaches a higher level of audience. It still is the best tool to monetize because online advertising is still very difficult to sell and to purchase. There's still a great amount of it happening, but there's a level of prestige and a level of usability for a print publication that I think we're still a ways away, but you definitely have to have the component and the collaboration between a digital and a print version. We're doing great work. It is evolving. We are doing more digital work. A couple of years ago, we started doing online interactive digital publications for large retailers. Was that something in the business plan? No. It was something that one of our large clients came and said they needed further engagement with some of their ways of communicating with their employees. And so we innovate, we change, we grow. The core of what we do is still the same. We're still designing and creating to share the message. And so now we're having to do it at a much higher technical level, but the majority of our business is still creating for print. Just all of it now has a digital component.
Spark Publications produces a magazine of its own, doesn't it?
It does.
What is that magazine?
It's called B2B Tribe Magazine, and it's for it started off being for and by Charlotte area business owners. So I did that 3 passionate years, 6 issues, 3 sold out events, and have taken a short hiatus until we reboot and rebuild it on a national platform.
What is your vision for it?
Well, you always ask the vision question, and that's usually more of a let's see what we can do with it. The vision is really to continue sharing the stories of business owners, small business owners. And also, one of the things that I did with B2B Tribe, as it being a Charlotte-based magazine, was did it from a very passion-focused standpoint. And we funded the publication. We did have some advertisers that helped us cover the cost of the print. The national version will start off with a different perspective, and that perspective will be to showcase some of our skills as we incorporate other business owner stories.
If a novelist or an essayist or a poet came to you to publish their work, what would you say to them?
We have the strategy session, and through that, we find out what their purpose and their mission with their book is. We have taken on several novels, but the novels were going to be part of a bigger plan. So we have Andrea Gaskins, who's a phenomenal cook, baker, and she's on TV shows and she writes novels. And so in talking with her, and she shared what she wanted to accomplish, I challenged her on that. We kind of retooled the book. She rewrote some things, and it became part of more of a branding piece for her. She has great audiences in Italy and across Europe and all through the country. But the book has a bigger purpose than just being the novel. The novel is also helping her establish her image and credibility as a fabulous baker.
Do you print the work that you produce, or is it outsourced?
We do not print anything. Everything that we do is pre-press or original content or original design.
What do you like about what you do?
Not just like. What I love about what we do is being able to hear somebody's dream and vision of what they're wanting to do with knowledge that has taken them quite a while to learn and accumulate, and being able to find and define the audience that would best be served by that information, and then to creatively package it and watch it get launched out into the world and do amazing things like changing lives and changing business. It runs kind of deep. I just absolutely love it.
Fabi, I want to talk about how you came to this line of work, but I want to start with your life journey. Where did you grow up?
Oh, that's always a complex response. I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. However, I was born in Montreal, Canada, to two French parents who had just moved there. And then from Canada, shortly after I was born, we moved to the Bahamas. My mother was expecting the birth of her next child, and there were some immigration issues in the Bahamas at that time, and they thought they were going to have a son. So my mother and I moved to Paris for 9 months. She had my sister, was born there. And then my sister, my mother, and I moved back to meet my father in the Bahamas. And then as a family, we immigrated into the States via Miami and lived in several places in Florida, then moved up to South Carolina and Columbia. And then soon after that, we actually came to Winston-Salem.
What is your first language?
My first language was speaking French, and I came into this country at about 6 years old without a word of English, and my parents didn't speak English very well as well. Then learned English. So obviously, sometimes I wonder if English is a language I speak, but from day to day, it is my primary language.
Do you speak French now?
I can understand French now. I have a very elementary level of speaking and comprehension. So I can't talk about work or computers, but I can rock out a conversation about, the home and kitchens and, different family life. Yeah.
Fabi, you moved around quite a bit.
Yes.
As you just described.
Mm-hmm.
What was your life like as a child?
Oh, it depends on the day that you ask me. I lived with two very creative, hardworking parents who had a mentality of surviving through the day and making things happen without a whole lot of knowledge of how things work in the United States. So life was simple, and it was also a little complex working, living and growing with two parents who themselves I felt were very much trying to grow up and understand a new culture and the way things work.
That created some tensions for you.
It did. It did.
What were those tensions?
A very strained relationship with my mother. And some of the times I really feel that, and before I say anything else, you have to understand, I know that my parents were doing the absolute best that they could with the information that they had. And it created a great reversed roadmap for what I was going to become as an adult.
What do you mean by that?
Just the way that things were handled at home, the way that we worked very hard and not much affection because there wasn't a whole lot of time for that.
You wanted to leave that behind, didn't you?
Actually, I did as I turned 17. But prior to that, my father had decided that one of his entrepreneurial ventures was going to be to launch a restaurant in Columbia, South Carolina. And he was a great chef, but he had no business skills at all. And that restaurant rocked my family in the hardest of ways because it had to bring my mother in full time as well in order to keep it going. And it didn't last very long. But when it crashed hard. The restaurant was gone, and then it took our home, and it took everything that we knew as far as, lifestyle and living as a family. And this was the summer before my senior year of high school. And my parents had this friend that they had befriended in Columbia, and she had moved to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and she opened up her home for my family. 2 angry teenage girls with not a whole lot of knowledge about life itself, and 2 parents that were really trying to figure out how to keep everything together.
How did that experience affect you?
I think it affected me pretty foundationally. As soon as the family got on their feet, I was at the high school and graduated, and within a couple weeks of graduating, I was 17 years old and decided that I really needed to see what I can do to launch my own life. And I just really had a foundational, deep feeling that I just needed to do it different than what my parents had done. So I picked up and moved to Charlotte by myself at 17 with no money. I knew no one here. I didn't have a car. And I didn't even have a U.S. citizenship.
Fabi, you took a leap.
I took a leap off the edge. Yes, I did. I did. I took a leap.
And what did you do?
I started my own life. I needed to find out what kind of person I could become and who I was. And coming to Charlotte and starting my own life without financial or emotional support got me on that track.
You didn't have much when you came to Charlotte, did you?
I had what could fit in my mother's car, which I borrowed for a week, and that was it. I got some college loans, and I worked a work-study job, and I worked as a waitress.
And you went to Central Piedmont Community College.
Yes.
And what did you study?
Graphic design.
Why?
You know what? This is really weird, but there wasn't a whole lot in Pillion, South Carolina. And for some weird reason, my family and I got in the car to go to Columbia. And I saw this billboard, and it had artwork on it and text. And I thought, that is so cool. This is like text up in the sky with some kind of image. And I don't know what resonated about that, but it was something about being able to artistically communicate to the masses, and there was a message, and I just thought that would be cool.
It's not everyone who's inspired by a billboard.
Well, you take inspiration where you can.
So you graduated from Central Piedmont.
I did.
And what did you do next?
Well, I actually took another leap while I was at Central Piedmont Community College, and there was an opportunity where the art director for media productions at the time was getting ready to leave. And I probably didn't qualify for that at all, but I decided that's what I wanted to do for a living. And as a work-study student, I was able to kind of share my resume, petition with what the skills I currently had, and I interviewed and landed the job. So my first job was as an art director, and I had 2 employees that were in the sign-making division. till I finished school. So it's a 2-year degree. So at least the last 6 months of school, probably a year. And then I went to interview for other positions.
And one of those places that you interviewed for
Yes.
was at the Charlotte Observer.
Yes.
And while you were there, something really important happened.
Something really important happened. First important thing is that they didn't hire me the first time I interviewed. And so I had to go find another job and grow up a little bit more in the industry. And then they called me saying they had a job opening, and I came and interviewed, and I landed the job, and they started touring, showing employees around. And I was going to be in the creative department, but they took us to, I was walking through the promotions department, and we walk into the room, and they, announced that I was going to be one of the new teammates in creative. And there was this guy that was like leaned over a drafting board, and he was facing the door. I walk in the door. He looked up, and when our eyes met, I had like these electric bolts like go from the top of my head down to the bottom of my feet. And my first thought was, holy cow, this guy's going to change my life. I got to get out of here. What I found out later is that same guy had a very similar experience, but he turned around and shared with his boss, that's the gal I'm going to marry. Well, 31 years later, I've been with this amazing man ever since.
And of course, that person is your husband.
My dear husband, Larry, yes.
Larry Preslar. Mm-hmm. So you had this electric moment.
I did.
What do you attribute that to?
I didn't think about it at that time, but as I've matured a little bit and learned a few things along the way, I really believe that we've been together many times before in other lives. And he has always been this source of comfort, love, and power for me. And I somehow deserved him again this lifetime.
Fabi, you start working at the Observer. You meet your future husband. Mm-hmm. What happened next?
Well, apparently that was the main mission of me going to the Observer. So I married Larry, and shortly thereafter I was on maternity leave, and decided during maternity leave that I did not want to leave this child behind at all. So I extended my maternity leave, and unfortunately didn't have enough money to physically be able to do that. I still needed $100 to meet our bills for the end of the month. And that's how I started freelancing, and then started Preslar Design, which I had for 6 years. I had actually taken it and grew it and merged it into a small printing company who was looking for somebody to help them take their business to the next level. So Preslar Design and CCS became a company, and we began doing Fortune 500 newsletters for all kinds of manufacturing plants like Westinghouse and Tyson and Haynes. And that's where I learned some big business lessons as well, because I trusted the person that I was working with and partnering, and didn't realize the power of having a separate attorney than his. And anyway, I was actually released from a business that I had built that way, and then went and worked for another large entertainment company, and then was recruited to a small pre-press company. And then really decided that I really needed to do something that incorporated all my skills and would have me be able to spend more time with my husband and my daughter, because everybody else on this planet was spending more time with them than I was. So then that led me, 10-year journey led me to start Spark. It was actually Spark Enterprises that I started home-based for a paycheck to be with my family, and then have grown it from there.
Why did you choose the name Spark Publications, and why are all the letters capitalized?
The first rendition of that, or our corporate shelter on that, is actually Spark Enterprises. And Spark was the creative spark. It was a divine spark. It was just a sparkly spark. And it was all caps because I wanted to shout it from the rooftops. It was Enterprises because, well, Star Trek and whatever else was going to happen with this company as I grew it. And as I grew it, realized that and refocused it, and that's where it became Spark Publications. And I just don't like Spark in lowercase. It's a design thing. I don't know what thing, but I love it in all caps.
I will never think of the word spark the same again. Fabi, you've written that the business transformed over time and that you transformed several times since launch. Mm-hmm. How have you transformed?
When you look at kind of the transformations that I've done from a child to a young woman to who I am now, there has been a huge catalyst in it. And that catalyst for the past 20 years has actually been my business. When I started it, it was home-based, and I'm extremely introverted, and I don't do people well. I just, sometimes things get too people-y, and I'm not into networking so much, and I could not speak in public. And everything that I couldn't do well, I needed to learn how to do great in order to have a successful business. So not only did I transform myself as I had to transform within my business, but there were already so many spiritual lessons in there as well. And so that's why I say that.
Let's talk about that spiritual journey.
Okay.
How has the business for you been a catalyst for this more essential spiritual part of you?
Being a business owner for me is really a thing of creation. It's creating the reality that I needed. It's creating the reality that I wanted. I have the extreme pleasure to work with a great team, which includes my husband and my daughter. And within that, I'm not a salesperson, and I needed to be able to create work somehow without selling. And I've been able to develop ways within our company, whether it's through samples. I strongly believe in, I'm not going to say the law of attraction because there's so much attached to that, but just attracting what you are. And for me to attract really cool things, I need to become a really cool person. And I found doing that was getting to know more of who I am and what I'm capable of. And maybe you call that just self-development or personal development. I start seeing it more from a spiritual side because it ends up being more than just about me. It's really not about me at all. It's about what I can create within myself and help others do at the same time.
Fabi, can you speak more about speaking things into existence?
I don't see it as religion. And there are different definitions for spirituality, but to define speaking it into, I see having a great intention of something that I want to accomplish or create or achieve. And I do a visual roadmap of what that could possibly be and then live it until it happens. I was not a business owner. I saw what the devastation of a business failing could do in a life, and why would I create one of my own? But I felt it was necessary. Whether it's a spiritual thing to redeem family past history, or whether it's a personal thing to see if I could be able to take all the knowledge I have, learn more knowledge, and do something greater with it that could impact other people. I just see all that as being speaking it into life, creating it. It's to me that's spiritual.
Do you feel in creating your business that you repaired something in your family?
As of very recently, I do. I have beat myself up hard over the years about not being successful, and then having to redefine what successful meant. I have always made sure that regardless of what leaps that I took with my business, that my family would be okay, that we would be able to live in the home that we live in, that we would be able to eat, that we would have, we've not had many luxuries, but that we have good luxuries. One of the big luxuries for me was to put my daughter through school. She graduated from East Carolina with her bachelor's degree, and that was a personal check mark. And then having a business that has thrived for 20 years and helped other families and helped many other businesses grow and thrive, yeah, I believe that I have redeemed part of my family's history.
Fabi, you speak of spirituality. Have there been other experiences in your life that have helped inform your sense of something larger?
Great question, Mark. And it's one of those things that, I actually think about a lot. As a child, this is going to be really strange, but I remember very young that I saw a cloud in the sky and it floated down and landed in front of me and became a puddle. And when you tell other people about those kind of things, they just look at you with a certain look. And I remembered from that point to kind of keep things that I see that aren't what we consider normal, kind of quiet. Until I had an amazing experience which rattled me to the core and helped me see things from a very different perspective. My dear sweet mother-in-law had had heart failure, and we were in the hospital, and we're all gathered around because we had been told that she was pulled off life support and that she wouldn't have much time left to live. And as I was standing the first time at the foot of her bed, I looked at her and I got this message, and the message was, she will not die today because she loves you and her son so much. It was mine and my husband's wedding anniversary. And this woman was not going to leave this planet on our wedding anniversary. So I knew with no doubt that it would be after midnight on that day that she would leave. So after midnight on that day, we were all gathered around her. I'm holding her hand. We're waiting. We're praying. We're telling stories. We're, in silence. And then all of a sudden, there's this veil that opens up in between looking at my father-in-law, my husband, and my brother-in-law. My mother-in-law's there. And then there's this other reality realm or something that's in front of me. And there's conversations that's happening that has no words that I understand, but I can understand the meaning of it. And so I said, she sees the light. She's going to be leaving us soon. And I could see a transition from her, and I saw these columns of lights, these entities, these things in a group waiting, and they were her guides, and they, I wish I had the words. I don't know if her soul, it was her light, it was her spirit, but it left and it went with this group of people. And they were familiar, but I didn't know who they were, but I knew that I knew who they were. And it was the most warm, full of love, bigger than I don't know what moment. And I thought for sure everybody else in the room was seeing it too. And then the veil closed like a curtain, and she was gone. And then the tears all came from all of us. But I looked a little stunned and I wasn't quite sure what had happened. And I don't know that I still do, but I do know that after that I left, and in the coming days, in the coming months, I for sure knew that there was something so much bigger, and we were so involved with something so big and that so small at the same time, that I think that kind of really launched that whole seeking and knowing that we're big and small all at the same time. We're important and not important all at the same time. But ultimately, the core of everything needs to be love.
You experienced her transition from life to death.
Yes.
How has that changed you?
It's made me look at life in a different way. I do not fear death. I am not ready for death. I believe it's also part with the personality I already had that helps. It drives me. I want to reach my full potential. And at the same time, I don't believe I will until the day I die. And that there's so much more that we don't know, we can't see, that we don't understand. So it changes your perspective of life and things that happen.
Have you shared this experience with many people?
No, I have not. Just like the falling cloud, it's not something that I typically want to share. And I'm okay with it. It's something that truly happened. It's something that helped me see a different perspective on life. And I'm not going to tell you that I completely understand it. I have been told, once I did share it with someone, that was a shared near-death experience, which helped me feel like I wasn't quite so crazy. So that's good. But it was something that happened. And it was something that I think was a message to help me not fear death, to help me understand that there's just a lot more that we don't understand.
Fabi, you have had this life-defining experience. How does it inform where or what you might want to do next?
It has informed my life in a way that I don't feel bad at all about knowing that the core of everything I want to do is love. So much so that I build a heart-centered business, and I bring in, after 10 years of starting it, I bring in my husband full-time. We have very specific job descriptions, so we know our roles. My daughter brought her along 6 years ago, and there is no better way than to have created a business that does things from a point of creativity and love, and to be able to have your family there with you every single day. I mean, we, kind of have this core family philosophy that we need to laugh every day. So we do fun things together, and we find ways to laugh every day. Sometimes it's through the tears, sometimes it's through silliness, but there's just a deep level of love and respect within my very small family.
Fabi, you have received many awards.
Yes.
For the work that you do, for this heartfelt business that you are leading. Let me just run through a few of them.
Oh, boy.
The National Women Business Owners Charlotte Chapter's Women Business Owner of the Year Award. You've received recognition for being one of the 50 most influential women in Charlotte. You've received the B2B Marketer of the Year Award, Entrepreneur of the Year Award, Enterprising Woman of the Year Award, and the Greater Women Council Trailblazer Award. What's up with all the awards?
What's up with all the awards? Well, I didn't get that award in my senior year when we lost everything, and I guess I've made up for it.
When you do receive an award,
yes,
do you just want more?
No, it's not about me. I'm not a salesperson. We don't do aggressive marketing, and getting these great awards is just fantastic free exposure. It's a great way to celebrate a little bit of the journey. I may never receive another award moving forward, and it's okay. I'm going to miss the promotion, but the awards don't define me. They just help celebrate a little bit of something that somebody else thought was worth celebrating.
Is there an award you haven't received that you would like to receive?
There are, but it's local, and the organization doesn't want to play the same game I want to play. So it's okay.
Let's talk about the game of awards.
Yes.
Are the awards and recognition that business people give to each other just a form of marketing and business development?
Awards are a business, and that business helps with the people that win the awards. It helps them launch their events and celebrate their events. That by no means demeans the awards. I really see awards in two big categories. One, you got to be clear whether it's just a promotional award, and the other is a merit award. But it is a game.
A game well played?
A game I've learned some of the rules on, yes.
Fabi, how do you measure success?
You have to ask. I measure success by being able to be independent in the sense that where I can come up with a creative project and be able to implement it. I define success making sure that my family is well taken care of. success is also being able to have a platform to where I can give and help others that are either coming up behind me or may never get the chance to do that in their current situation.
Maybe when you're not thinking about your business.
Yeah.
What's on your mind these days?
Oh, my mind never stops. I'm always creating something. I don't know. It's the next project. It's, sometimes it's just doubt. Sometimes it's seriously just doubting what I can do. And sometimes if I doubt myself strong enough, then I just have to prove myself wrong and go out there and take a leap and do it.
You have described yourself as introverted.
Yes.
And yet you've taken many leaps in life.
Yes.
What gives you the confidence to take those leaps?
I rarely take a leap with confidence. I think I build confidence as I'm like descending off the cliff and have to build the wings to find that confidence. A lot of times it's just something that I feel I want to do or feel that I need to do for a particular reason. And I will take a leap in a heartbeat if I am just completely propelled to do so. But confidence doesn't always play into the formula.
Fabi, what do you value most?
I truly value relationships and very close relationships that can be who they are around me and with me, and those that I don't have to filter what I think and what I say and what I do, and that they are based on a deep core of respect and love.
Are you living the life you want to live?
I am. And when I'm not, then I got to take another leap and make something else happen. So yes, I very much am living a life that I did not even have the capacity to dream of as a teenager.
Thank you for your time today, Fabi.
This has been emotionally fun. Thank you, Mark.
Fabi Preslar is president of Spark Publications, a custom publishing design firm. She is a graduate of Central Piedmont Community College with a degree in graphic design. And now, a personal word. One afternoon, I suddenly thought about Fabi. I could not really tell you why. I have only had brief contact with her in the past, and we didn't know each other personally at all. But Fabi had entered my mind. I looked her up and gave her a call. I asked her if she was familiar with my podcast, and if she would consider being a guest. Fabi said that she had already imagined being on the podcast. She wanted it to happen. She was pleasantly surprised by my call, but not completely, as the universe had surely responded to her desire. I thought, yet again, some psychic force at work. Whether it's thinking of someone and within moments they call, or knowing exactly what will be said next, as if the conversation had happened before, or imagining something improbable and experiencing it perfectly as it unfolds. It's happened to me 1,000 times. Some energy connects us all. There is a theme in the stories that Fabi tells, that there is a larger force at work in the world that she has come to know and trust. It might be God, it might be something else. Fabi talked about taking leaps in her life, leaving her home when she was 17 with nothing in her pocket and moving to a new city, falling in love instantly with the man who would become her husband, believing she had met him in a previous life, inventing and reinventing her business, not knowing what would happen next, each time she jumped into the unknown. The phrase leap of faith is often attributed to the philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, who talked about believing in things that are not rational, how faith is a completely unreasonable act, and yet it is, paradoxically, the highest duty of a Christian. The gap between logic and belief can only be crossed by a leap. But Kierkegaard did not use the phrase a leap of faith. Instead, he talked about a qualitative leap, that in the leaping, we change our being. In the action, we change substantively. In the doing, we become something new. The leap catalyzes an ontological transformation. The philosophers of today write articles in the very business magazines that Fabi designs. Popular philosophy reduced to listicles and practical tips. Any search of the internet will give you 7 tips to accomplish anything you have just searched Google about. And there it is in the search results. 7 tips for anyone about to take a leap of faith by Stacy Michelle, a freelance business writer. Here is a condensed version. 1. Listen to your inner voice. Trust your yearnings and gut instinct. That voice is your authentic self guiding you. 2. Practice self-care. Stop, breathe, and nourish your body and soul to relieve stress and unlock your power. 3. Replace fear with your desire for what is to come. Live into and feel emotionally the passion you are pursuing. 4. Be with like-minded people. Find a community or tribe taking a similar leap that will support you. 5. Quit comparing yourself to others around you. Everyone is on their own path, manifesting their own realities. 6. Celebrate life and small victories. It will give you the energy and joy to continue. And 7. You are perfect as you are. A mindset of gratitude and abundance will create the life you desire. We hear that framework in everything that Fabi says. An entrepreneur's life is one leap after another. It is the belief that intention plus action creates something new. Intention plus action changes reality and who we are. There are larger forces that an entrepreneur can harness to create abundance. An entrepreneur can learn to feel the universe at their fingertips. It is the gospel of entrepreneurial success. Fabi also shared seeing a cloud come to rest at her feet and a shared death experience. She is not the only one who has beheld such moments. People all over the world have reported similar accounts over centuries. Whatever we make of it, there is more that we do not know than we know. I am certain of this. We are better for our leaps of faith and glimpses of eternity that call us into boldness and possibility. We are better because Fabi Preslar sparkles as she does. This is Mark Paris, and you've been listening to On Life and Meaning. Thank you to my partners Andy Go, producer of the show, and to Chris Curriton, art and media director. This is how you can help. Please write a review on iTunes. It helps us grow our audience. Follow us on Facebook. We'd love to hear what you think about the show. And become a patron. We are on Patreon, a crowdsourcing platform that allows you to support what you value. Visit us also on our website, onlifeandmeaning.com. Thank you for listening.